Okay. Suzi Quatro, number one in the UK and other European countries and Australia and Japan, with singles Can the Can 1973 and Devil's Gate Drive 1974. Quatro released her self-titled debut album in 1973. Since then, she has released 15 studio albums, 10 compilation albums, and 1 live album. So won't you welcome with me rock legend, the one, the only, Suzi Quatro!
How you doing?
Hey, so Suzi, can you just tell us about yourself and give us a self-introduction?
Oh gosh, well, I was born in Detroit, born and raised there. Musical family, 5 kids, 4 girls, 1 boy. My father was a musician his whole life. We all play minimum 3 instruments each, just the way we were raised. So I'm a trained pianist, a trained percussionist, taught myself bass guitar. I've now been playing bass guitar for 59 years. Unbelievable.
Wow.
I relocated to the UK in 1971 because I got discovered by Mickey Most, a record producer in my second wave of the all-girl band called Cradle, and he offered me a solo contract, so I came over here. By 73, I had my first number 1. Oh, hold on. Somebody's at the door. Sorry.
It's okay.
A guitar was sent to me from somebody, and I just had to answer the door. Right. We'll pick up where we left off.
Okay.
Okay.
You say your father was a musician, and you say you play the guitar and the piano and everything, but you play the bongos too, don't you?
Yeah, that's a standing joke. Apparently, I say that every 5 seconds when I'm in the studio. I play bongos, you know. It was actually my first instrument. And
really?
My daddy's, my first instrument. I visualized myself as a beatnik at 7 years old, and I used to pretend I was smoking cigarettes and reading my poetry and playing my bongos. Anyway, my dad used to let me go with him on a Sunday and play in front of him. And I used to get like 25 cents.
You moved to England in 1971. Why did you move to England?
Well, I was in all-girl bands with my sisters and some other girls. The Pleasure Seekers lasted quite some time. Then that turned into a heavier group called Cradle. We were writing our own songs. I got pushed to the background a little bit because my little sister came in to sing, and Mickey Most came to Detroit, very known record producer. And he saw the band, and he offered me a solo contract. It was the second time in 1 week, which is when you know it's time to go. I was already offered that same week a solo contract from Elektra Records. And he wanted to, it's crazy. He wanted to turn me into the next Janis Joplin. Mickey Most flew over that week to record at Motown, and he offered me a solo contract and wanted me to be the first Suzi Quatro. So I figured I'm not Janis Joplin. I'm nothing like Janis Joplin. I'm a rocker. She was more of a blueser. And I liked Mickey's attitude. You know, he knew I was different. And I went there and I packed up my bags and left everything and went to England.
Wasn't that difficult? Like, I mean, you're playing in a band with your sisters, right? And then some guy comes up and says, I want you, and I want to give you a contract. Didn't you give you some kind of friction with your sisters or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. That's going to happen. How can it not happen?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's when it could have happened any other which way, but it happened to me. And to be honest, if I'm very honest about it, which I always am, I was always waiting for that tap on the shoulder. And I've talked to other people in the same position as me, and I say, be honest, did you always know that you had that X factor? And they always say yes. You kind of know it inside. It's how you build your future. I knew it from very young. I knew it when we would do family shows. We did it all the time, and everybody would get up and do a dance or a sketch or play the instrument. And whenever my turn came, whatever I was doing, the room stopped and watched me. So in my little childish brain, I realized I could hold a room. So I kind of developed myself that way. I got my first passport. I think I was like 18 or something. Everybody put musician, and I put entertainer. interesting.
Oh.
My path was set for a very long time.
So in your head, what is the difference between an entertainer and a musician?
I'm kind of an all-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
When you see my shows now, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been doing 2-hour and 15-minute shows, solo shows with an interval. I play the piano. I play the drums. I do a 5.5-minute long bass solo. So that's entertainment. I do a little bit where I talk to the audience, tell them a little bit about myself. You get the rock and roll, but you get the whole wax. You get the whole ball of wax. And it's what I always wanted to do. That's where I always wanted to be. And I'm getting now, which is unbelievable. At 73 years old, I just turned a few days ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The best critics of my life. It's like, it's embarrassingly good. My husband keeps saying, "Did you write this yourself?" I said, "No, I didn't write it myself." And I think they're reacting to the fact that I am doing an entertaining rock show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so they even write it up that way. One guy wrote, because I do a crazy bass solo. The drummer says it's the most exciting thing he's ever done in his life. It's 5.5 minutes. You can Google it or YouTube it. It's Vienna 2023, and it says Glycerine Queen bass solo, and you have a watch on that. So it's like it's a bit of everything. It's just a bit of everything.
Wow, that's really cool. I read I've read several interviews with you, but I also read I think it's Wikipedia, I'm not sure. They say that Suzi Quatro was the first female bass player to become a major rock star. Is that true? How does that make you feel?
That's completely true. I didn't have a role model. But again, I'm very honest. If you really want to watch something good, watch my documentary, Suzi Q. I know it's just come out in Japan about a month ago. Suzi Q. It's out there now. I can't pretend that I knew what I was doing. I was actually just being me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it was weird to be a female bass player. And it wasn't, the reason I'm mentioning the documentary was because it wasn't really until I watched the premiere in 2019 of Suzi Q in London.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question and answer. And I saw all these girls. I was in tears. Your Chrissy Hines, your Debbie Harry, Joan Jett, Cherie Curry, Lita Ford, Donita Sparks. I can't remember Chrissy Hine. Did I say that already?
Yeah.
Catherine Valentine. They all were saying, they came up through the interview, and basically they all said the same thing, if you want to paraphrase it, that none of them would have done what they did if they hadn't seen me do it first. So yes, I take that to my grave. It humbles me when I think about it. I didn't know I was doing it, but what I did know, I didn't know I did that I kicked down the door, but I did. But what I did know was that as I was growing up, I didn't fit anywhere. So this is more the key to me. I couldn't find the place where I should stand. And when you can't find the place where you fit, you end up inventing your own place. So I found my niche, and that's why it worked, because it wasn't manufactured. You could see, anybody watching me could see I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just doing it. And I became the first one. Yeah. So I'm the one that kicked down the door. I always say I kicked down the door because I didn't see the door.
Wow. Suzi, talking to you, and you just told me you're 73 years old. You don't look 73 years old.
I don't feel it either.
At all. Yeah. And you don't act like a 73-year-old.
I wish I could say I've matured, but my son always says emotionally I'm 7. I think that's probably correct. I've got that Gemini, the Geminis, I kind of believe in it. They're the Peter Pans of the Zodiac.
They are.
They are, yeah. It says it in the description. We're the Peter Pans of the Zodiac. But thank you. I mean, I'm first thing in the morning, no makeup, so that's a compliment. Thank you very much.
Well, no, you look great.
Thank you.
You look fantastic. Wow. I came to Japan. The first time I came to Japan was in 1978. And you were huge.
I know. I had a real following there. I haven't done Japan for a little while, for maybe 10 years, but I'd love to come back. But they really embraced me. It surprised me to the extent because the kind of person I am was so against their culture for women. Yet I was their queen. I did about 15 tours there altogether, and I love Japan. It's actually my favorite place to tour.
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, well, after your UK tour is over, you can come on over here. That's for sure.
I would love to go tour there again. Yeah, I love it.
So, I came in 78 and I stayed at a Japanese family's home, and they said to me, Mike, do you know who Suzi Quatro is? And I was like, I know the name, but they were like, she's huge, huge here. So I was like, really? Because you were super huge in Japan and the UK,
Australia.
Yeah, in Australia, but not so big in the States. Why is that?
My Mickey Mouse, bless him, he kept changing record labels in America. He was kind of nervous that if I made it huge in America, I would leave him. So he kept chopping the check. So he had his reason. But I did tour America all the time, and I have chart success with my albums and some smaller successes with the singles, not as many hit singles. Stumbling In was a huge hit there. Million seller.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and I did a lot of tours. So I have had success there, but not the single success that I had everywhere else around the world. They really discovered me big time from Happy Days.
Yeah. I saw that show. I watched that show when it came out.
I was in 3 seasons of that. And then they offered me a spinoff. And it came to the point where it became confusing. Was Leather Tuscadero Suzi Quatro? Was Suzi Quatro? And I said, no spinoffs. I'd done it for 3 seasons. That was enough to establish the character, And I've done a lot of other acting since. But yeah, that was the reason. We just didn't have as much single success there. Whatever that was happening, 73, 74, everywhere else in the world didn't quite catch on in America. I don't know why that is. Whatever that movement was, they didn't get it over there. Mike Chapman talks about it. They just didn't get it. Plus changing record labels. I didn't have a chance to build on a record label over there.
So, you know Rodney Bingenheimer, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I was his first assistant. 1970, 79, 80, 81.
Right.
And
he was a huge fan.
Yeah. When I tell him that I interviewed you, he's going to be so jealous. But since I left the United States, which was in 1983, and I've been a DJ in Japan since then. And the audience here, the people here, and I also think it's the same with the people in the UK. They're more sophisticated in their tastes. And I mean that in a good way,
Yeah, I think, well, when I first started to tour again in America, so it was like 74, 73, my hit started. I went back in 74. I did 2 or 3 tours that year, two with Uriah Heep. I did the big Welcome to My Nightmare tour with Alice Cooper. That was 80 shows. But I noticed, coming back to America then from here, that the radio was full of the Eagles and Linda Ronstadt.
That's right.
And they weren't ready to accept something new. Then they saw me, like I said, on Happy Days playing the bass guitar. Then all of a sudden it was okay, So it's crazy. But everything happens as it happens,
Yeah. Like the Suite, when I was in high school, I went to a big high school, like 3,000 students. And I was the only one that liked the Suite. So this is 1975.
Same era as me. So like I said, like Mike Chapman quite articulately put, something missed those first couple of years that it was exploding over here. The Americans didn't get it. I don't know why. And I was based here. So yeah.
Wow. So you've been, it says between 1973 and 1980, you've been awarded 6 Bravo Autos. Is that how to pronounce it?
Yep.
And then in 2010, she was voted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Online Hall of Fame. And you are reported to have sold, is this 50 million records?
No, 55.
Oh my God.
They need to update that. 55 million. I've released 2 albums. 2019, No Control. Fantastic critics. It charted around the world. 2022, The Devil in Me. Both I did with my son, producing and writing. So
Your
it's
son? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's Brent Richard Tucky. It's a brand new combination, and it's fantastic. The Devil in Me got the best critics of my entire career. The best. There's a EP out right now on Sun called Uncovered. 6 of my favorite old tracks, and that's going to be released. It's released already, but there's going to be a live stream at the 100 Club here in London of me doing those 6 tracks. So that's going to be in September. Plus, in about 2 weeks, the first single comes out from our album. Myself and KT Tunstall, we've made an album together, written everything together. So that's a duet album. I've been busy.
Really? So, yeah, I'm going to